Hey, it's Jim with CGC Sports Illustrated. I love it when I can do these unboxing co-host videos, and that's what I've got for you today. So we're going to talk to my buddy Shabir here in just a few minutes. But what Shabir did, he sent me 5 issues, all very interesting. We got a couple of really good stories out of these, but it was 5 issues to get graded, to get pressed by me, and then I submitted them for him under my CGC authorized dealer account. He just got them back. And so we're going to take a look at some issues and do it right now. So like I said, this is my buddy Shabir. Shabir, why don't you go ahead and give us your background real quick.
All right. Jim, thanks for having me online. Actually, I'm known for it in the G.I. Joe community. My channel, we cover basically the G.I. Joe comics, some Transformers. It's just like a Gen X era type of channel. I actually do unboxings for comic books. So I'm actually work with PGX and EGS grading services, which it's kind of funny that I'm submitting this to CGC, but it's all said and good. But I was a fan. I learned a lot from being a fan, watching Jim doing his unboxings. And I decided, hey, this is an opportunity here, something new that I think that is worthwhile. So I definitely contacted Jim and, befriended him. And I entrusted him with my first submission into the realm of graded magazines. So thanks again, Jim.
Hey, no problem. I'm glad you mentioned that. I forgot this is your first submission for graded magazines. And I will drop a link to Shabir's YouTube channel in the description of this video here. So if you want to go check out his stuff on comics and G.I. Joes and that sort of stuff, that'd be pretty cool. Okay, we got 5 slabs. Let's get started with number 1. I'm excited to see what we got.
Yeah, basically, this is kind of like an adolescent kid's a dream submission. So let's go with the first one. We're going to follow Jim's format in unveiling these. So the first one, we check at the back cover. And the
nice
60th anniversary of Kate Moss. It got a 4.5, but, I'm actually happy with that. I think this is one of those iconic issues, the top 10 issues that I thought is worthwhile.
So I should have said so. So we got some Playboys and we got some swimsuit issues. That's what Shabir meant by kind of the adolescent teenage boys submission here. So a couple of things. So let's go through this. So this is Playboy. This is January, February 2014. That's Kate Moss on the cover in a bunny outfit. This is her first cover appearance on Playboy. Let's go through the pop reports. There are 6 9.6s, there are 6 9.4s, there are 3 9.2s. Couple of things I want to talk about this. So this is, I was in just the other day, I was in a comic Facebook group that I'm part of. That's a pretty big one. There's a lot of members in this Facebook group.
Yeah.
And somebody posted a graded Playboy, and they were like, hey, it's not a comic, but I thought this would be fun. And the discussion blew up. And I'm certainly not an expert in Playboy like I am Sports Illustrated, but I was able to contribute some of this. And people were like, joking around going, is that a key issue with Kate Moss on the cover? And I was actually like, yeah, that actually is a key issue because that's her first cover appearance. So Playboy's getting a lot more popular. And I co-hosted a video with a bunch of other people recently. And I want to mention it real quick, Shabir. Go Collect, who I'm a big fan of. They're a price guide for comics. They've been around a long time. Go Collect has just launched a beta version of a price guide for magazines. It includes Sports Illustrated, Nintendo Power, and Playboy. So this has been a long time coming in this hobby. So if you haven't yet, go to Go Collect, register at the very least for a free account, be able to grab some of that sales data. And check it out. It's a little clunky still. It's not all filled in. All the data is not there. Like I said, it's just a beta version for right now, but something to keep your eye on. But so again, yeah, Playboys have key issues, and this is a key issue because it's Kate Moss's first appearance, and she's a huge supermodel.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing is some people may feel like let's be honest. There's a stigma. People may be a little bit afraid, but whatever. The fact is, like you said, these are one of the top issues, and it's kind of advantageous to target them and get a jump on it now before of course, getting on it when you're getting on something when it's starting off in grassroots is a lot better before it explodes and becomes, everybody's jumping on the bandwagon. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why I submitted this. I kind of figured it would be Because it was this one was actually in my attic, so for my bachelor days. So.
And I think that's a good point. Playboy's not for everybody, but man, it was a huge and still is a huge part of pop culture and an incredible brand name. And it was a big deal when somebody, geez, I remember being a kid, little kid, Vanna White was on the cover of Playboy, you know, from
that's
Wheel
another
of Fortune.
one. Yeah.
It was a big deal. You know, that made a lot of hay. So there's certainly a market out there for Playboys, and they're very cool. And visually, those covers, they're cool.
Yeah, and the real quick thing is actually after this, they stopped doing, if you recall, like there was a span for a couple years where they stopped doing pictorials for a couple years from, you know, I read like, you know, that they stopped. And so this was actually right after this, they stopped doing that. They cut off for a few years doing it. It was just a pure regular magazine, which was kind of weird. But then, you know, so this was at that very cusp when they stopped doing pictorials. So this was one of the last few ones before that thing took in effect. So
I love it. Let's pull up the next one, and while you're doing that, Go Collect is the website I mentioned earlier. It's gocollect.com, GOCOLLECT.com.
Yeah, and I use it all the time for comic books. It's so funny that I was shocked to hear that, because you know I'm always on the comic side of it, looking at all the, you know, whether it's a Tomb of Dracula or all these, because I'm starting to get into like Bronze Age and Silver Age issues for comics. And so I kind of want to see, because I know a lot of these books are never going to grade a 9.8 or whatever, especially with the ones that are from the 60s and stuff. Very rare you'll get a high grade. So to see which ones will grade, I always use Go Collect. And I think that's cool that they're starting to implement that.
Yeah, and you know what I like, and then you go ahead and pull the back cover up so that we can get the reveal ready. I like the people at Go Collect. I know a lot of the people that are at Go Collect and work there, and they are enthusiasts. They're collectible enthusiasts like we are, and they just do a really good job. Okay, let's see what we got next.
All right, here we go. The next one is an iconic Elle Macpherson cover.
It is. So that is, what year is that one?
This is a 1987.
Okay, got
February
it.
9th.
So she's really interesting because she was on 3 swimsuit covers in a row in the 80s. She was on the 86, 87, and 88 cover. She's the only model to ever be on 3 covers consecutively like that. And so I always get those confused as to which is which. So yeah, the 87 one. So let's run through some particulars about this. There's one 9.6, there are 2 9.2s, there's a 9.0. Looks like we got a grade of 5.5 on that one.
Yeah.
It's her second ever cover appearance. She also holds the record for the most swimsuit issue cover appearances, more than any other model. She's got 5. There's a bunch of people that have 3, including Christy Brinkley, Kathy Ireland, Tyra Banks, and probably 6 or 7 other different people.
Cheryl Tiegs, you got him. If you're
Cheryl Tiegs, yes.
remember.
Cheryl Tiegs is on 3 as well, which I should know because I have a couple of vintage Cheryl Tiegs swimsuit issues. I forgot about that one. So that's a good one. And since I love doing show and tell, so I'm going to mention my own because I mentioned Christy Brinkley was on 3 covers. I'm really proud of this one. This is her first Sports Illustrated cover from 79. Graded at 9.4, which is the highest graded copy in the world. So,
and I'll be sending you some Christy Brinkley's too.
Yeah, and so if you're interested in, if you're watching this and you're interested in collecting swimsuit issues, I would say stick to the big supermodels. Just like comics, you want to stick to the big superheroes, or Sports Illustrated, you want to stick to the big athletes. You want Cheryl Tiegs, you want Christy Brinkley, you want Kathy Ireland, Elle Macpherson, Kate Upton, the ones that you come to mind when you think of big supermodels. So fun stuff there.
And the best thing is you can't get in trouble with your wife because it's sealed.
Right. These are just Playboy. These are just swimsuit. We're just going to the beach, sweetie. That's all.
And I live in Florida. It's like we don't see that all the time,
Right, exactly. We're just going down the road here.
Just going down the road.
Good. Family friendly. Okay, what's next?
All right, it's kind of funny you talked about it, so we're segueing right into it. So this is the back cover. Kind of looks similar to the one we just saw.
Yeah.
But now we're getting up.
Okay, so now I recognize this one. This is the 88 Elle Macpherson
That's right.
Swimsuit cover there. And it looks like, what do you got, 7.0 on that?
Yeah, I'm actually excited about that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good grade. So let's go through the pop reports. There's 4 9.4s, there's a 9.2, there's a 9.0. Like I mentioned earlier, she was on 3 in a row, 86, 87, 88. So this is her third cover appearance there. And an iconic one. I mean, I was a kid in the 80s. So those 80s swimsuit issues are very iconic images to me from being, 12, 13 years old back then.
And the funny story is that I remember my uncles were older than me. So I remember going into their room and like they're like hurrying, putting this stuff. So that's why I have an affinity for these, especially because I just remember going into my uncle's room and like, what's this? Like, they're like,
right. Especially when you're a little kid like that. I remember I always saw him when I was getting my hair cut at the barber. So my dad would take me to like an old school barber shop when I was a kid to get my hair cut with a little, barber pole out front and that sort of stuff. And that was always like, oh, they got the swimsuit issue. Dad, I think I need a haircut.
I think so. Yeah, this is really good. Yeah, I'm really excited.
Okay, about this. Cool. What do you got next here, Shabir? I think we got 2 left, and there's one that I know because I pressed all these. There's one that I'm very excited for.
You always talk about anything that relates to the Dream Team, but people don't know that there was another Dream Team that popped up in the 90s, and that's what this cover is going to focus in on. So here we got the back, which looks absolutely amazing. And once again, you did a phenomenal job with your press. I want people out there to know that it is worth, sending your books to Jim to have his expertise. I know from the comic side how much advantageous it is. It's not worth it to do it alone. Trust the experts and professionals. It is worth it in the long run. So a lot of people
I appreciate you saying that. And I encourage others, to ask me questions if they want to get started up pressing themselves. And I'm happy, I've run my channel this way. I don't hold anything back. I don't keep secrets. I'm happy to help. Here's what I'll say about anyone can press their own issues, but it really takes somebody that's an expert and been doing it a long time to get the most out of each and every single book. And I was happy we were able to do that with yours. Okay, what do we got?
All right, here we go. The other Dream Team.
Okay, so this is this is an interesting swimsuit issue. So this is the very first time that they had multiple models appear on a cover. Up until this point in time, and swimsuit issues have been around since the 50s and 60s. This is the very first time they had multiple models on the cover. So this is Elle Macpherson, Kathy Ireland, and Rachel Hunter, all on the same cover. This would be Elle's 4th cover.
Yeah.
Kathy Ireland was on 1 or 2 before this. I'm not sure, but this is Rachel Hunter's first Sports Illustrated cover.
That's right.
So let's run through the pop reports. Again, this was 1994. So there are 2 9.8s, a 9.4, and a 9.0, and a great looking cover. And you're right. This would have been 2 years after the NBA Olympic Dream Team, and here you've got one on a swimsuit issue.
And I think Rachel Hunter was married to Rod Stewart at the time, so that's another little.
I know she was married to him for sure. I think this is probably they're long divorced now, but I think you're right. I think they were still married with that and that really kind of. I mean, she was a model in her own right, but when she married a rock star like Rod Stewart, certainly elevated her pop culture profile.
Yeah. All right. There we go.
Good one. Okay, good. I wasn't sure that we were going to get that. I'm glad we saved this one for last because this is my favorite out of the whole group. I just think it's so interesting and such a cool cover. So let's take a look.
The funny thing is I like how the cigarettes and stuff like that, that I don't think that would fly today at all, but it's just kind of cool to see.
So, okay, I'll tell a quick story about that because I worked in media for a long time. So the reason why you saw so many cigarette ads in magazines is because cigarettes were banned from advertising on broadcast radio and television. Yep. There was a federal law that said you couldn't advertise. So that's why you saw billboards, magazines, and sporting events like the Winston Cup in NASCAR forever because cigarettes couldn't spend their money on TV and radio. So that's why you see so many of them on the back of these magazines.
All right. So this one is iconic.
Look at that. I just think this one is so cool. This is a copy of Playboy. It's from October 1978. That is Dolly Parton on the cover. It's her first cover appearance on Playboy. Pop reports there are 2 9.2s, 3 9.0s, and an 8.5. That one is 7.0, it looks like.
That's
which
right.
is a great grade for this one.
Yes.
Very collectible issue. And then Shabir and I were talking earlier. He told me a story about this one that I had no idea. So please tell me the story about this one, because I had never heard that before.
There's actually two quick stories. The first one is she actually recreated this photo for her husband on their anniversary about in like 2020 or something like that. So she donned this outfit again one more time for her husband on their anniversary. So it's very sweet, you know, at their age and stuff and all. But the second story is that for some reason, Keanu Reeves actually wore the same outfit as a Halloween costume because his mother was the costume designer or wardrobe person that was assigned to Playboy at the time. So she had this outfit in her closet somewhere in Canada. And if you go on YouTube, you will see him talk about this very outfit. And they took pictures together, you know, after, you know, meeting each other. And so Keanu Reeves shared the story that this was his Halloween costume for 1 year. And imagine how much that value that thing is now.
I love like little gold mine stories like that. I had no idea. So Keanu Reeves's mom was a costume designer at Playboy back in the day. She worked on Dolly with this issue, and that specific costume, hung on to it all these years. Keanu finds it, puts it on as a joke or whatever for Halloween or something like that. I'm going to have to dig up that YouTube video of him talking about that, like you mentioned. That's why I find these sorts of magazines and that sort of stuff so interesting, because there are stories out there and you just got to find them. And that's an awesome one. I love that.
I know, isn't it hilarious? And I was like, that's one of the reasons why I had to get this. Like, you know, it was just hilarious. And
you know what? And Dolly has done such a great job of crafting her public image in pop culture and keeping herself relevant all these years later, and not only relevant, but in a very endearing way. I'll compare it very similar to Betty White. I mean, Betty White
was going to say that
probably more popular the last 20 years of her life than she was ever before. And Dolly's kind of doing something similar to that. She's got this image that she's crafted and been able to do, whether it was, you know, all of the donations she made during COVID, or, you know, re-recording songs and doing duets with other people, her charitable works and all that sort of stuff. She's done an amazing job of just kind of keeping herself out there and really in such a positive light, where everybody's got this kind of, you know, just great feeling about her. And whoever has something bad to say about Dolly Parton.
I know, exactly. And like I said, after the passing of Betty White, I think that the nation's collective, like, make sure nothing happens to Dolly. Like, you know,
right, protect Dolly at all costs. I love it. Great looking issue. Hey, Shabir, really appreciate. I loved you sharing these with me. And everybody else that's watching this video. This was awesome. Like I said, I'm going to put a link to your YouTube channel in the description down below of this video here, and lots of fun. I appreciate you sharing those awesome magazines.
Thank you so much for having me. And hey, I look forward to being back on and doing our second unboxing together.
Yep, we'll definitely do it again. Thanks for watching.
Right. Thank you.